We're all but done with the international dead zone and we are going back to football paradiso with all the domestic action flying off. And this stage of the season is always really exciting because we've got a really, the transfer window shut. We've got a really good idea on who the main runners and riders are in each individual squad. And now with a couple of matches played, you can get a bit of a, temperature in the room here on what teams are delivering on the pitch, what ones are underperforming, so on and so forth. One of the pieces of content I've had a lot of fun with on the channel so far has been all the Road to Glory content. Stay tuned to more of that. But in the video today, what I wanted to do is take a wee step back and highlight some of those unexpected stars, some of those unexpected scorers that we've seen already in the Premier League, because the Premier League is the main competition on Sorare where the most amount of money can be won, and it's the, generally speaking, the cards that most people want to try and win. So it's the league that most people find themselves opening up their account with and starting out their first budget strategy, maybe with the team they follow, support, or just going to be backing this year. And now with the transfer window closed, like I already mentioned, and with some proof in the pudding, there's been some expected heroes out there, some budget stars. Some of them we've covered on the channel, some of them we've not, but in the video today we'll be going through 5 for each position in the Premier League. Unexpected stars and scorers that are still rather underpriced in the market that anyone could be using to help themselves get on with hot streaks, as well as climb up the leaderboards and win money and cash and all cards and all that other good stuff. If you are brand new to Sorare and you've not opened up your account yet, there's a link in the description in this video that'll get you $150, pounds, euros, whatever your currency is, of market credit to go out and reinforce your squad. It is linked to directly how much you do spend on site, so please read the terms and conditions. By clicking on that link, you don't just get yourself the best sign up bonus available anywhere on the internet, but you also support me and all the content here at the channel. So if you do get stuck, or if you've got any questions, jump into the comment section and I'll help you out. The link is in the description of the video and in the pinned comment, but also in the description of the video is the new to Sorare Start Here playlist. So if you're after like beginner tutorial startup content, that's where you'll find that. But this is a scouting video, and this is for anyone, whether you're brand new or you're a Sorare scouter manager that's been around the block once or twice, because at this stage of the season, it's get your ducks in a row, get your teams locked and loaded, and start chasing down some of those wins. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and get into the comment section and let me know who has been your unexpected hero, your unexpected budget star in the Premier League so far this year, and who do you back in the next kind of furlong of the season to maybe go and put some more proof in the pudding to really kick on. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into this one, because anyone that doesn't feature in the video today is probably too expensive or not unexpected. They've got some form of being a good player before, or again, unexpected kind of heroes and stars is what we're looking at. So I just wanted to put that out there. Don't come at me for this guy's got the best L5 and this guy scored the most amount of goals or whatever it might be. This is all about the unexpected ones, because when we're building a budget strategy, we need to zig when everyone else is zagging. We need to find those ones that are passing the eye test, that have got those underlying stats, and when the situation is right, are clutching in for us. And as is customary, it's only appropriate that we start with the boring boys. We start with the goalkeepers. Now, as you'll see, the 5 goalkeepers we've got here come in all shapes and sizes, and in terms of price point for in-season cards, some of these guys being under the £30 mark. Even Leno at 31.55 I think makes them very interesting. We'll start with Vicario because he is the most expensive. Tottenham, of course, have Champions League utility as well. They've got that to come in their arsenal, but so far with the first 3 games of the season, Vicario has been plum. It's been absolutely sweet. The clean sheet against Burnley would have been expected, of course, but to get the amount of points he did, Tottenham don't have it. They've got a good defence, don't they? But they're not like dominating and all conquering in that regard. So he's been busy. He's caught some points, which is nice, and that just makes that at home at Burnley is the sort of game you expect the goalkeeper, if he does get the clean sheet, to maybe bring in just like the 62 or something. So the 77 I thought was a lovely precursor. Getting the clean sheet, the high value clean sheet, which if it was going to get the clean sheet, you'd expect him to earn it, wouldn't you? Against Man City, again, just further adds on to that, where over the first 3 games here, playing all shapes and sizes. Burnley, a team you expect to be at bottom of the table. Bournemouth in and around that competitive mid-table band, and in Man City, obviously a top-end operator. He's clean sheet or not, he's been coming in clutch, he's been doing the business, and if you are going to pay up for a premium goalkeeper, Vicario is the unexpected I think, best bang for buck right now. Yes, there's other ones out there. Maybe the L3 or whatever is a little bit better on. Maybe the prices can be a little bit leaner. But Vicario doesn't really have the same jeopardy on, I don't think anyway, random rotation the same way that one or two other ones do, maybe a bit further up the table. And, you know, it's maybe a wee bit too soon to know what's happening with Man United. I know they've got that Kinski guy there and whatever, but I don't think Thomas Frank is a goalkeeper rotator. So as far as premium guys go, I think Vicario has to be the unexpected hero by a long way. Jordi Petrovic is priced not too dissimilar, and he does have... He's played some international games now for Serbia, of course. He's playing England before point of recording. But so far in the Premier League, the first game away to Liverpool, conceding 4 goals and still bringing in a 46-point score is incredible. 33 points were earned from the goalkeeper category, but he did lose 20 points down to all the goals conceded, obviously. But this is a great turnout. Accurate sweeper keepers, punches, diving saves. He's done a little bit of everything. And if you watch Jordi Petrovic, that is the sort of goalkeeper he is, where he does spring across the goal. He wants to put his hand on things. He wants to be the hero and loves a good high claim as well, and loves a sweeper keeper. As you can see here in this clean sheet against Wolves with another 71 pointer, and then playing Tottenham and bringing out the clean sheet. Now, fair enough, there maybe wasn't as much actual points delivered on this, but he did earn, 11 points in the game. Just all these possession losses have really kind of undermined it a little bit, but all the same, when the clean sheet gets captured, it's basically job done, isn't it? So again, across a nice strength of opponent here in Liverpool and Tottenham, you'd probably put both of them in that top 6 camp, wouldn't you? Top 4 kind of area. Wolves obviously expect to be at the bottom of the table, and Bournemouth themselves should be really competitive against everyone in between. So I think Petrovic, if you're looking for that premium budget option, I think at £44 he's probably the unexpected hero by a good margin there. We then get to 3 guys that are basically the same, right, but priced kind of differently and do have different situations all around them. Now, Leno, it's kind of weird putting him in here as an unexpected hero, right? Because Leno was a decent goalkeeper last year in the Premier League for Fulham, and really ever since he's been at Fulham, he's been a decent Premier League option, never too expensive, etc. But coming into this year, I just didn't really fancy Fulham to, I know they've got like a good kind of base of like a Premier League outfit, but I just didn't see them moving forward, and I'm just a big believer in, especially in the Premier League, if you don't move forward, you're just sliding back the way. And then the first 3 games, like Brighton, it's a 1-1 draw. There's not much to write home about. A 40-pointer, fine. But the 52 points against Man United shows like he's still earning the points that he was earning last year, certainly without a clean sheet. With a clean sheet, that would have been massive. And then against Chelsea, Bernd Leno is brilliant for random last man tackles and random assists as well. So a guy that's very friendly to decisives, and again very good all around to go with it as well. And a 69 pointer when it was all said and done, despite conceding 2 goals, I think is a good space to be in. And for Fulham this year, like, he's probably just going to be between 40 and 70 most weeks, isn't he? And when we've seen, again, he can really clutch in with a big spike once in a while, but it feels like, Fulham are never going to get slaughtered, or you don't imagine they do anyway, but there's maybe odd moments with it. Anyway, I think Leno is in a decent little spot. I'm actually a bigger fan of Robin Roth so far this year. I've put eyes on Sunderland a few times this year, and across the first 3 games, he is, like, if you knew your budget goalkeeper was going to deliver 70 pluses, but also under 30, you'd probably take that trade-off, because when they're not bringing the clean sheet in, like a 46-point goalkeeper and a 28-point goalkeeper, yes, that is like a difference on the leaderboard, but in the grand scheme of things, you're still not winning. It's just, do you scrape essence? Do you get from 100 essence to 250? Those are the sort of margins that decides. Whereas the keeper, like if you compare this to Leno, they can get into the 70s and above with just the clean sheet without much more beyond that. That can make the difference more than making it from tier 2 to tier 1 to star to having a ripper of a game week. Against West Ham at home, again, very good in this game, very impressed with him. He got his points in a number of different ways, which was lovely. And again, against Brentford. And now, the fixture list so far for Sunderland has maybe been a bit soft, but I think their defence is pretty formidable. But at 20 quid for an in-season goalkeeper, we have Lucas Perry. Now, again, exact same idea as Robin Roths, but maybe just turned down a little bit. Leeds got extra humped against Arsenal, which, is kind of expected for Leeds, you would think, overall this season. But the clean sheet against Everton, decent value points in that, and just about getting out with a clean sheet against Newcastle. 29 possession loss, man, Jesus, yeah. So a guy that's, for 20 quid, probably a decent bet to have this type of season all year, where it's like 68 to 74. I know this was in France, but that kind of range, or 5. So at 20 quid, it's probably decent bang for buck there. So the goalkeepers, I think there's been some nice budget picks out there, and that's one of the ones, especially for an in-season spot, because having this in your streak team, one of these guys is an in-season card rather than the classic. The classics if we change the price filter on this, like dramatically cheaper over the board. Now Petrovic is actually not that cheap. I don't think he's got too many issues, or maybe won't have that many listed on the market because of international utility right now. Wow, the Classic's actually more expensive. That's weird. But the rest of them, as you can see, there's a material difference there. But the benefit you get there is then in the outfield positions, which are even more expensive in some cases, especially for the stars, you can use a Classic card. So although, yeah, maybe getting like a Classic Pickford is still like the meta, moving into an in-season one of these guys I think could be very advantageous. And I think going forward we'll order them in price, because I was a wee bit annoyed that they were higgledy-piggledy there, but they're in a good row now. Now when we come to defence, and again, you can asterisk this and use any Crystal Palace defender almost, right? But Mark Guy, I'm a big fan of the guy. I think everyone on the channel appreciates he's a quality centre-back. We've seen that for the last little while at Crystal Palace, under Ollie Glasner and formerly under Roy Hodgson as well. But being in the shop window for him, being an apparent free agent, getting into the England team and stuff like that, he has just went to the next level, hasn't he? You know, playing in Europe and domestically, he's got a real L5 on his cards here before playing Andorra for England, where it's 3 100s out of 5 games. It's just absolutely wild. Now, Fredrikstad, fine, right? But the 8-8 has been incredible. Passing stats through the roof. And then even against Aston Villa, where he scored that wonder goal, but even that aside, 25 points from defending, which is 5 clearances, 3 tackles. On top of that, he's got his double-double for all the dual success he's had, caught in a little interception. But also for Premier League games, making 50 passes in this sort of range where enough of them are getting to the final third, etc. One shot on goal for the goal is brilliant to see, because the other Palace defenders are much more like Lacroix and Richards. Munoz and Mitchell are different because they're fullbacks, obviously, but the centre back that can get the double-double, the triple-double, etc., but can also get high passing stats is the defender you're after in every case, and he has really emerged as this. The question will be, can he maintain this now that he's not really in the shop window right now? He's got to knuckle down and focus on with the job at hand at Palace. I guess time will tell. Another, as you can see, he's got a Palace picture here, but Jesus, Trevor Chalobah so far this year, 3 games, and it has been the stairway to heaven for him. You know, it's been 57, 81, and then a 100-point performance against Fulham without a decisive, and if the cap did go over 100, he would have done 107 from this. Absolutely incredible. 33 points from defending. He got the triple-triple. 3 tackles. The interceptions was 4. Net duels 1 was 9, which is incredible. Nice passing statistics to go alongside that. And he just about got a point or 2 in the attacking column. So Chelsea's defence is wild, right? But if he's going to keep playing, he is super Matrix friendly. I don't think there's any discussion around that where it's sitting right now. He does have form for this already. His problem has always been reliability on selection. Has that changed? I don't know. But 3 games played, 3 starts, and stairway to heaven, Trevor Chalobah. £24 for a defender card like that. Chelsea are playing in all competitions, of course. Do have injuries, which maybe paint him into a corner in a nice way. Calafiore, I put him in as an unexpected star, because this is kind of the Calafiore we expected when he arrived at Arsenal, and it's only just coming in now. I know yous are all shouting they've signed Nchape. Saliba's got an injury, I don't know the extent of it. But Calafiore, if he's going to keep on the way he started, Arteta's going to have a really hard time dropping him. And again, very Matrix friendly. And Arsenal don't really have that defender card. Saliba, Gab Mag, Ben White, they're all kind of meh, aren't they? They're all kind of alright. Calafiore, though, presents as could be the guy, you know. So you do need to keep your eyes on him a little bit with Nchape and everything else I just mentioned there, of course. But if he's going to stay in at left back, he has been very effective against Man United, Liverpool and Leeds. A great cross-section across the division. And at the moment, £23 for his card. There is a jeopardy there on DNP, so maybe Calafiore is like a Team 2 guy at the moment, Team 3. But 20 odd quid for an in-season Arsenal defender with that type of scoring makeup, I think that's phenomenal value and an unexpected hero. As is Marcos Sinise, because Bournemouth very famously sold their whole defence into the elite of European football. Sinise was already in the club, couldn't get a game, and he's really stepped up. Now, fair enough, the first game against Arsenal, they got rinsed, right? Fine. But if you look at the underlying, his numbers weren't actually too bad. He still caught 11 points in defending, 7 points in passing, and you know, where did he lose his points here in possession? Really, the possession loss is what took it away from him. Otherwise, he'd have been on for a wee cheeky 10 points or so. But against Wolves, clean sheet bonus helps, of course. Huge on the clearances, nice amount of passing stats. And again, in the possession one, he kind of lets himself down a wee bit. Despite getting the 2 interceptions. He only got 1 tackle and didn't quite get the duels. So again, a 66 performance with no decisive. If he did unlock that double-double, that could have quickly jumped up to like closer to 75 when you add in the points for all this stuff and whatever, maybe even 80. And then he gets to the 100-point performance with the beautiful assist, by the way, against Tottenham. And the thing with Zabarny as well is he does, Sinise, is he does pair very nicely with the Petrovic. And I do think as an unexpected star, £7 in-season defender card, that is lovely. Now, I am a little bit biased, okay? Like I mentioned with Robin Roves, I've put eyes on Sunderland this year. I'm a big fan of Ronaldo, and I think he has really hit the ground running. 2 games in a row where he started on AA alone has got to the 60-point mark. I think Sunderland have got one of the best defences to be building into, particularly on a budget. Against Burnley away, no clean sheet, but still brought in a 62. He did give away the penalty against Brentford, and if you see the incident, it's proper. He's just came out of La Liga. You can tell just by looking at him. He's like wrestled the guy at the ground, and he's like, "What? You're giving a penalty for that?" But even with that being said, still 15 points in defending action. So if he hadn't conceded the penalty, not only would they have probably, because Brentford were terrible, got the clean sheet bonus, it would have been a huge point swing. And maybe not quite to Shalaba levels, but this would have been a little stairway to heaven here. It would have been 60, 62, and then maybe into the 70s on that one. He is away on international duty for Mozambique or whatever, so he'll be back soon. And the next 2 games aren't great, but I think for Sunderland it's hard to look at many matches and go, oh yeah, that'll be a great game. He is a hard-nosed defender, you know, and as long as he's not conceding penalties or giving red cards, he should be like floor, you know, he should be like solid. And at £2 for an in-season card with a goalkeeper that can pair very nicely with him, I think, again, unexpected hero on a budget. Now, when we come to midfield, it will not surprise you who is top of the order. It is Captain Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Grealish, off the bench against Leeds, and, you know, maybe threatened to look alright on the ball, but proof in the pudding in spades. Playing Brighton double decisive, Wolves double decisive. The scores speak for themselves. It's been very well publicised. At £35 in season, I don't think there is any better value out there. Points per pound going. Everton, the team's built around him. It's working. It's not going to stop working. The only thing that's going to slow him down is injury or whatever. And when you compare this to the good and the great of the Premier League, no midweek, pressures. He's not played in this international window either. He's the main man. Bring it on. Sandro Tonali is really kind of stepped up this window as being like he's again big Tonali fan, and he's shown that he's had like a good record with Newcastle, especially towards the back end of last year. But this year he started off very, very well in tumultuous times, you know. And looking at the 54 against Aston Villa, 52 against Leeds, one of these games gets a decisive, and you know he is spiking really hard. It's hard to put Tonali in the category of like a star player because I just don't think he's going to have like. When you think, like, jump to the end of the season, what's Tonali's record going to be? Could this be a guy that gets to like 10 to 15 assists in the league? I think he maybe could. But goals, what we're looking at, maybe a max of 5. So in the league, we're thinking like maximum 20 decisives, which is pretty good going. Are those numbers definitely going to be in the league? Maybe not. Maybe he will hit those types of numbers, but Newcastle do play lots of matches. Maybe a few of them will trickle into cups, maybe into Champions League, which can be useful, of course. But that's the thing with Tonali. I just think that his decisive cap, if you're being optimistic, I think it works out. But where it maybe kind of averages out on where we've seen him previously is it's maybe not quite enough often enough. So I think his underlying numbers are fantastic. I think he's in a good team where he's going to keep that floor. And I do think the optimist could say, like, at 30 quid, when I see Grealish next to him at 35, I find it hard to be, like, mad excited about Tonali. But I do think, if you're after another midfielder, he is, like, super safe and should be on the way up. He should be improving and has been an unexpected... Would I say he's an unexpected start? I would say so, yeah, just about. Because for the first 3 streaks, which is all we've had in the Premier League so far, yeah, fair enough, the second one he might have let you down, but for the other 2, I think he's just about getting there, and I think the underlines are strong enough. Elliot Anderson comes into the exact same camp, but has been a bit punchier, and it's surprising that he is cheaper than Tonali, because he's caught his one decisive so far in the first 3 games, and looked amazing, got into the England team, of course, but also against West Ham with no decisive, has brought the points in a big, big way. He's got a double-double, great defending stats, great passing stats as well, and I feel in this price point a lot happier with Elliot Anderson over Tonali. I expected them to be ordered slightly differently because I would also just about put Paqueta ahead of him. Now, Paqueta has needed the decisives where maybe Elliot Anderson And you might even say Jack Grealish wouldn't actually need the decisives to get at least into that green territory, that 60 plus range. But Paqueta is really nailed his colours to the mast with the, throwing the phone away celebration. He's survived the betting scandal. He's scoring for club. He's scoring for country. And it feels like he's ready to kind of put West Ham on his shoulders this year. And a Paqueta like that at 13 quid is very good value. That's after that. I would price wise, like Tonali really should be behind Anderson and Paqueta, and then in the same mould as Tonali, I'm putting Mason Mount into this because Mason Mount is played regularly for Amorim, and his AA for a midfielder card is very noticeable. Now, at 7, it's not that great, okay, but he's been, for an attacking midfielder, he's not too far away from being double capable. He still picked up the 7 points. If he did trap with an assist or something, that would have been kind of somewhat respectable. Closer to the 10 to 15 point range in the next game here against Fulham, where they drew 1 each. Again, 1 tackle, 1. Didn't get the double, but wasn't that far away from it. 69 minutes played. And in the final game here against Burnley, similar points tally is what we've seen. Only 45 minutes played. 1 tackle, and again got the duels very close to being double. If Mason Mount can start locking in a few of these doubles that we're highlighting, and Mason Mount, compared to maybe a Tonali or something like that, he's in the final third. You do expect him to start trapping in with decisives. And there's a guy that if Man United start free-flowing and firing and he's involved in the front line, you could see him trap double decisives. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. It does look like he's got a little bit of an injury to kind of wrestle with. I'm not too sure how serious that is. But at £4, in terms of a budget unexpected hero so far, I think Mason Mount is certainly in the conversation. Now, the order for the forwards is interesting. It is price-led, right? So kind of read it as it were. But Estevao is a player that Chelsea signed in their raft of the wonder kids that they picked up that, you cross your fingers, maybe they're going to be world-class. And, his scores, like, fair enough, he's just scored for Brazil, right? But they've not been super good, right? At 30 quid, it's hard to be mad excited about him, price-wise. It only has these cards. There's a fair chance there's a rookie card in this when we get the card reveals later this week. Maybe it's not. But if he does have that X factor, he could very quickly become a bit of a mainstay in the Chelsea attack with all the fixtures they've got to juggle. When you look at the price of João Pedro, the expectation on Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, these types of players, Estevao might be, by comparison, a kind of cheaper way into that Chelsea attack, and he's got his full career ahead of him is a big thing that I don't think anyone expected him to come in. I think some people did, like the Wonder Kid boys would have thought, oh yeah, Estevao could maybe have this type of impact. But I think the larger kind of audience didn't expect him to, be involved in the first team as much, or maybe worried he'd be loaned out to Strasbourg, that sort of deal, Similar to Lucas Paqueta, Jared Bowen has looked like he's really got the bit between the teeth. He wants to be the leader of the team. And West Ham, for however bad they're going to be, the attacking players are quite safe because as long as they score a couple of goals here and there and they're getting in amongst it, they can be very handy. Bowen's AA is undeniable. His decisive magnetism or likelihood is undeniable. And when it comes to being like a budget forward, maybe there was a wee bit of worry that West Ham were going to be so bad that Jared Bowen wouldn't work anymore. But I don't think that's an issue. At £26, very good value for money. Alongside Dan and Doit, who, as soon as Nottingham Forest signed him, I was quite quick to tell the Forest fans, you're going to be selling this guy in 12 months for 50, 60 million quid to whoever. And already really hit the ground running. Scored against Brentford, assist against Palace, very good against West Ham. And he's taken that form, fair enough, it's Kosovo, into the international scene, and he's really kicking on. Forest have got a lot of football to play this year, and he is up for it. You can tell he's really enjoying the limelight. A top athlete, a great work ethic, elite technique, and at £24, I think a guy that will be ever present in the front line, and someone that with 1 decisive, fair enough, the Brentford one, he didn't quite get the AA, but I expect him to be 1 decisive 70 more often than not. As you even see with the double decisive getting to 80, same sort of AA profile, which for a forward card at £24, rather similar to Jared Bowen, is really well priced. Now, Semenyo has had the kind of opposite of the stairway to heaven, hasn't it? It's kind of been the highway to hell. The scores have been going down, but the eye test and what Bournemouth are doing, Semenyo is a very exciting and very bankable forward, I think. A guy that very frequently should be getting goals and assists, and because he's a guy that loves to run into space, take people on the duel, is a guy that I'm always attracted to those types of forwards. I want to see people win contest won. I want to see duels won. I want to see chance creation. And like, fair enough, you want to see these scores going up, but he's still got them in spades. 2 goals and an assist in the first 3 games, I think is perfect. He's got international football to wrestle with, fine, but for Bournemouth, I think he's nailed and he's really stepping up. So again, for the price point we're finding him at the lower end of the 20s, very interesting. But Jadon Anthony, under a tenner. Now, Burnley are going to do Burnley this year, right? But his AA against Tottenham, undeniable. And again, this is what we're looking for a forward. Winning fouls, that's exactly the sort of thing I want to see. Very repeatable actions, you know. He's not quite won the duels you would want. There's no sneaky underlying stats that would help him to a double-double. But attempted assists, final third passing, shots on goal, penalty area entries. This is all exactly what we're after. And against Liverpool, it never came to much. Against Sunderland, however, he absolutely put them to the sword, got double decisive, did all the things we just spoke about, brought in a massive score. And he did score against Man United, but on the L5, on the L3, it gets suppressed because of the penalty concession that he had. And I think that's what helps his price be a bit suppressed, because anyone just having a cursory glance at this will just see 2 bad scores and 1 good score. They won't really think about it too much beyond that. But I think this is a guy that's the main guy for Burnley. And again, like, thinking to the end of the season, he's got 2 goals and an assist already. Could he get to 12 goals? I think so. Could he get to like 8 assists? I think so. 20 decisives from a striker? That's not a bad place to be, especially with regularly showing he can get around the 10 AA mark. And this is the list, my 20 players, my unexpected scorers, my unexpected stars of the Premier League season so far. Hopefully some of you guys have enjoyed the good scores that these players have been dropping. If you're an eagle-eyed scout and you had a wee stack of these guys already, or you maybe read the tea leaves and brought them in after one good game, whatever it might be, love to see it, love to hear it. Hopefully some of these guys are good options for some of you to reinforce your roster in some way. Give me your suggestions in the comment section down below as always, guys. On screen now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. On the Road to Glory video that I'll have this week, I've also got a one to watch list to go through with you, which is kind of like this, but we're trying to forecast it. So one or two of these players are kind of forecast guys as well, aren't they? Where like Mason Mount and stuff, but it's more of that. It's really like that is the theme of it. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Stay tuned for that. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Stay out of trouble. I'll catch you on the next one.